Just checking to see if I'm visible. I hope I am. Hello. I'm Shangamitra. Yeah, so I'm Shangamitra, and I wanted to talk about something that I learned this year. So I went to this residency, and there was an art residency in Delhi. Um, and there's something that I learned which was not exactly related to art, but it was very much related to art, and it was very much related to life, and it was very much something that I didn't really know, and I wasn't super well versed with how to do it. Um, but now I'm learning, I guess. I think I'm learning. I hope I'm learning. And it's something that I wanted to put on video because then I can see it and I can remind myself. And I hope that if you are seeing this as well, and it's something that helps you as well. On the note of help, it's about asking for help. And it's something that I didn't know how to do. We'll talk about that. But also, I have been tired of my eyebrows. I didn't have them for a few months there, and I quite enjoyed not having them. So it's really bothering me that now I have them again. And it's really there because I've been so busy with trying to keep being alive that I forgot to shave it. So now I'm going to shave it. I'm going to make myself look a certain way that I want to look like. And I'm going to talk to you. I will chat with you about health. Rosie. Also, like, Elise is like right behind where you guys are. I know you can see it because you are looking at me, and he's licking his non-existent balls. So there's that. When I say that I didn't really know much about health, what I meant is there's a thing. What do you call this? We call this. What do you call this? We call this a handkerchief down here. So none of this is just on the floor because that's disgusting. So disgusting as much as it's inconvenient. I think I need to get another one of this because it's like really not as sharp as it used to be. But it still gets the work done. Anyway, so health. I grew up as like what is known as a parentified child for many different reasons. By that, it just means that you have to sort of take charge of everything. And as a result, I kind of started to be rebellious. I kind of started to be very like individual oriented, like and I kind of started to that sound was at least not being able to make a jump and then finally having to climb up the bed. Anyway, so he's not the most agile cat, I don't think. Anyway, so because of that, I was very like, I didn't know how to ask for help. I didn't even know that asking for help is okay because the lesson that I learned is that if you are asking for help, it means that you are imperfect and you shouldn't exist. I know. Not something that anybody should have to grow up with, but life does not have shoulds, like we do as humans. So that's what I learned, and then as it so happened that it got to a point of being self-sabotage because since I didn't know how to ask for help, and since I'm a human being, I'm supposed to be asking for help because that's what human beings do. We survive together. Nobody can live alone. So since I didn't know how to do that, I started not being able to accomplish a lot of the things that I initially wanted to. So I just took failure, and we're not going to talk about like what failure can mean in so many different contexts. So I just learned that failure is simply the norm. And I thought that if I wasn't failing, then there's something wrong. So then I went to this art residency, and I was making art for the first time that was entirely my own. It was as if like the whole world that I created there, it was like my child, and my best friend child is now running across everywhere. Hi, best friend. Oh, now I'm back. Oh, Shomavitra is back. Yeah. So, okay, half of Shomavitra is back. So that's what I learned. But then I went to this residency, and now I have to check my notes to continue. Hold on. Anyway, so there were these absolutely brilliant artists at the residency with me. They have been making art for a long time, and they knew what it was like to make art. And why I'm mentioning that is because as a result of that, they knew that even if you're making your own work, to have it come to fruition, you kind of sometimes need to ask for help from people, to put it up, to hold something up, to ask for opinion. How is this looking? Just feedback. There are so many ways that in the process of making art that you need to ask for help. And I was looking at that environment where everybody was just working for their own vision to come to life, but they were also helping for the other artists for their vision to come to life. It was just such a generous, beautiful environment. I don't know how else to describe it. And that's when I realized that there was this one particular artist, and she's amazing. And she is absolutely unabashed when it comes to asking for help. Watching her approach people and ask for them to help her, I realized that she doesn't have the concerns that I do. And my concerns come from a trauma brain, which constantly tell me that if I'm asking someone for help, that they would just harm me in some way. And so that just stops me from asking. And she was just like, can you do this for me? Please do this for me. Just do this for me. Can you do this for me? And it was so, I feel like, one thing is, it is generous of people who actually offer help. But I feel like when you're watching her, I realized that when you're asking for help like that, you are being a generous artist because you are providing that to your work. And you're providing that to the community because, once you ask and then the help is offered and then you're working together, that is how community actually, that is the basis of how community functions. We monetized it later on, but that is the basis of how exchange started. And I think we have come a long way, and I think a lot of us may have just forgotten that is how it works. And then I was like thinking about it in the context of, neurodivergent people with invisible disabilities. And I realized that this whole world, the infrastructure is not really made for us. It's not really, it's not a society where we are supposed to thrive. But if it were, even if neurodivergent people were in the minority, we would be very good at asking for help, because that would be seen as the norm, so that we are able to live well. Disabled people, neurodivergent people, help is how we live. And we have to be unabashed with asking for help, because we have to always keep in mind that that is the way that we bring equity into the world, into the equation, right? So if it asking for help, providing help, if that becomes the norm, thanks to the very basic necessities of neurodivergent people, disabled people, that is a threat to the way that the world works now. Because the world works in a transactional sense. And once you have this environment of asking for help and providing help, it doesn't remain conditional. It just becomes a fact of life. And it's just like, even if you are not disabled in the ways that we see or understand, even if you're just someone who is having a bad day, that is also valid help. Another little area of help where I was like, which I was thinking about, was like, a lot of the times people make fun of people who read self-help books. There is one side to this, just as a disclaimer, that a lot of people write self-help books not to actually help anyone, but to sort of make a profit out of an area where a systemic sort of gap remains, right? Instead of actually doing anything to bridge the gap, they write the book so that they are able to profit off of it. And a lot of the times these are the same people because of whom the gap remains, like the people who are directly or indirectly doing the oppressing. So that is one critique of self-help, which is a problem. But for people like me, who haven't really had resources of help available to them from the get-go, if a self-help book or videos or whatever is helping us, then that's fantastic. Even if someone is making fun of the fact that you are letting yourself be helped by a self-help book, I think it's still something that we should do, because it's just the body's way of taking you towards something which it knows that it needs. And the body's wisdom is just, I've seen that to be the best thing. I don't know if you can see Elise. Oh my baby. So yeah, there are, right, like, so about the neurodivergent health thing. Coming back to the neurodivergent health ways, okay? So for a lot of neurodivergent people, just existing is difficult, because you are not just having to live, which by itself is a very laborious thing, but you are having to live in a world which is designed against you. Like, for instance, like, the world is designed for like constant, gradual, sometimes even really fast production. But neurodivergent people in a lot of ways do not function that way. For example, a lot of neurodivergent people have periods of intense production and then long periods of nothing, just rest. But we don't live in a world that accepts that or allows that. So there are so many ways that we do need help, and the ways that we need the help is conversation with people who get it, parallel play when it's available. Like, for instance, like I have to go to the bank, but it is something that I have not been able to do, and I was thinking about why I'm not able to do. And I realized that what I need someone to accompany me to go to the bank. And there are various reasons for it, mainly related to executive dysfunction. Very glad to go into it in another video. But like, and that's okay. Needing someone to go for something that is considered in the neurotypical world to be so basic, it's okay. And it should be something that we are provided and we are able to ask for. And there are other ways of physical help that we need. It's just something that we need to, like neurodivergent people need to accept that we need physical help. For instance, like we need physical, like maybe hugs sometimes. Maybe we need people to, when the long periods of rest is going on, we might need people to do some work around the room. We should be okay to ask for that. We should be, and the first thing that we need to do as traumatized and or neurodivergent people is that we need to understand that it is much less likely for us to be harmed as adults, primarily because the people we'll be asking for help are not going to see us as people who can be easily harmed, so they won't just do it. And you are wobbling because Elise is moving in. So that's like giving a kind of pessimistic view of things, but I think it's more realistic than pessimistic. That's just the first thing that we need to remember. And the second thing we need to remember is that this is something another resident, another artist who's a filmmaker said to me in the residency, is that most people would want to help. This is not something I actually knew or understood. This is something I had to go all the way to Delhi during an art residency to understand. Like, not only that, there was this other person who was not part of the residency, but he helped us like so generously throughout. And he helped me with one aspect of my work. And one time I asked him, what has been something that interesting that you've done of late? And he actually said that helping me was interesting to him. So not only by asking help are you asking for help for yourself, but you're giving the other people the opportunity to have pleasure from something that you need help with. You can never tell what a person needs. Maybe helping you, even if it's something like making your bed, maybe that is something that they would get some amount of pleasure doing. Maybe it's in the actual physical activity of doing it, or maybe it's just because they are being able to help you, and that opportunity makes them happy. So by asking for help, we are in many ways also helping them. So it's not something that we need to think of as favor. It's not something that we need to think of as like, should I be doing this? Oh my God, how can I ever repay them? Maybe you don't ever need to. And if you think that you are able to repay them, talk about it before you ask for the help. Like, this is what I can provide you if you help me with so and so. So that's the one thing. How to ask for help. Firstly, ask shamelessly. Think about it as if some character possesses you and you are too scared or too like you're overthinking about asking for help. Think that someone like this really empowered like beautiful being who resides in some corner of your mind, self, is just taking over your body for the time being and just asking for help shamelessly. Can you please do this for me? They're very grateful, but they're empowered as well because they can ask for help. They can recognize that they need something which they themselves cannot accomplish at the moment, right? So firstly, ask shamelessly. Secondly, if like a lot of neurodivergent people, a lot of traumatized people also read into tone a lot, because that was one way that we survived. When we read into the tone and we realized that, oh, okay, so this tone in this person means that they're getting angry, so I shouldn't talk anymore. We didn't ask for help then. I'm talking about when we are children, and like we had to just like tone, like just for our own safety, we had to be in be on guard with what a person is sounding like, so that we knew that we are safe or we aren't. In the case of other adults, especially the ones we don't really know, we know them well enough, but not really know, like they're not really family. In a lot of cases, what they sound like is not the exact same as what that same tone meant in the childhood. For instance, if they sound like when your relative sounded mad when you were a child, most of the times it's not that. Most of the times maybe they are just thinking about something else. Maybe they themselves are neurodivergent, so they don't have the capacity to change their tone. There could be so many different reasons. But the point is that it is not your job. It's not our job to be like, oh, so they're sounding like this, I shouldn't ask for help. It is our job to take people for their word. You ask for help, and this is like kind of related to the third point. They say yes or no, and then you go ahead accordingly, right? Third is when you're asking for help, related to the second point. If they're saying that they can't help you, be ready for that. Be ready for the no. It's totally okay if someone is not able to help you at any given point of time, but don't expect that that is the only possible outcome, so that just don't ask. So even if someone's tone is not really the best possible scenario, if they're saying that they're willing to help you and they're available to help you, let them. The other thing. Okay. I think the last thing would be to practice pleasure. Yeah, I mean, it could be physical pleasure. I swear I can wink better. You see? Anyway, so it could be that kind of pleasure, it could be sexual pleasure, but practice pleasure in other ways as well, what kind of coffee do you like? Like, tune into what in the world gives you pleasure. And once you are able to figure that out, you wouldn't have to get to the point of complete and absolute burnout for then to ask for help. You could just ask for help when it gets like slightly more than uncomfortable, or you can even start asking at uncomfortable. That is why understanding my own pleasure has been important to me. Masturbation has been very good for me. I'm still learning. There are many ways which I'm discovering, like literally every day. Oh, this makes me happy. Oh, this is another way that I can make my world a little bit sweeter. So it's never something you'll be able to know entirely, because there'll always be ways to improve. No. There will always be ways to improve. I do not know what's happening to the screen because Elise is trying to enter the cupboard. Anyway, so there will always be ways to improve the way that we live. But the main thing that I want to say is that once we are kind of tuned in to what pleasure can feel like, we would then be at a better position to know when to reach out and ask for help. So then we don't have to get to the point of like sabotage. Oh my god, he's so cute. Sorry. We don't have to get to the point where we are completely damaged to ask, you know. I think that's it for today. There is something else that no, I don't think. I think that's it. Once we get to the ways that we can ask for help and just like make it a very basic thing rather than this really exotic exclusive thing that only comes by once in a blue moon, once helping and being helped becomes just a way of living, I think it becomes easier to be more generous in other ways, to yourself, to the world. Like, I am able to make videos because I feel like I have the capacity, and I have the capacity because I've had more help since I've started asking for more of it, you know. So as always, I love you, and that's something I can't begin to tell you how much. I realized that, you know, whenever I tell my cat or my friends that I love them with all of my heart. And the way that that's possible, I feel like it's not like I have infinity love, that is true, but then I also have like a whole infinity for each thing or each aspect that I love. So it's like different dimensions of infinity of love, and each dimension is for a person or a thing or whatever. It's just like something I was thinking about today. Anyway, so I love all of you. If you feel like it, remember to like. If you're new here and if you feel like it, remember to subscribe. Let me know what you thought of what I just said. If you want, all of those things really help me. Really help me. And I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully doing something interesting with the face. I do not know what we'll do.